University in Atlanta, Georgia. Now you might have heard and caught on to the fact that I've kind of been here a few times. It's actually my 4th time at Summit. That means I've gone through over 300 hours of lectures. That means if you think you know Dr. Noble's jokes, I promise you I know them better. And so tonight I want to talk a little bit about what I believe Summit's really about. Down at the core, why I keep coming back, and why I love this place more than anywhere else. And it's because, for me, the people, the lecturers, professors, the staff really center around the concept. It's that verse where Jesus is talking, and the Pharisees and the Sadducees are talking to him, and they bring a lawyer up there, and the lawyer's thinking he's all that. He's like, I got a question to ask you, Jesus. And he asks him, what's the most important law to keep? The first thing he says is to love God with all your heart and soul and your mind. This is something that everyone always stops at that. We're like, all right, so my God, when I come Summit, I'm going to get here, I'm going to my mind, get my soul. But what I really believe is part of, even a little more than that, is the next verse, where it says to love others as yourself. Why I keep coming back here, and why I study at home, and why I try to learn more about people, is because I want to love them. I want to love them on their level. I want to show them that I respect them enough, not go, check out this Bible verse I got for you. And they're like, wow, it's funny because I read the Quran, so it doesn't really mean that much to me. Well, I can say to them, look, I've read the Quran. You can go down to their level and you can like, look, let's talk about this. Let's talk about what you believe. And then we can talk about what I believe. And that kind of respect means so much more to people than going to them and being like, well, you know, I believe what I believe, and I'm going to put it on you, and I don't really know what you believe that much. And that's the biggest thing about Summit, is training you to know not only what you believe, but what others believe, so that when you go out there and you try to love them, you love them in a way that's respectful. This last year was my first year at college. And I'll be honest, I thought before then I had a good amount of friends that were like, you know, the fringes, like I had some gay friends, I had some Muslim friends, I had some Hindu friends. But it wasn't until I hit college that I realized, man, there's a whole field of people out here that need the love of God. And is it my right to sit down here and do my Bible study every morning and then not take the time to study a little bit of theirs? And about this, I want to kind of read about a guy that I really like. He's in the Bible. His name's Paul. All right, for anyone who wants a verse, it's 1 Corinthians 9:19 through 23. Up here, Paul's talking to the Corinthians, right? And he says, for though I am free from all, I have made myself a servant to all, that I might win more of them. To the Jews, I became as a Jew in order to win Jews. To those under the law, I became as one under the law, that I myself might win those under the law. To those outside the law, I became as one outside the law, not being outside the law of God, but under the law of God, Christ, that I might win those outside the law. To the weak, I became weak, that I might win the weak. I have become all things to all people, that by all means I may save some. I do it all for the sake of the gospel, that I may share with them its blessings. Now, I don't want to say that everyone needs to go out here and, like, you know, become Muslims so you can save them. I'm saying you need to study them, you need to understand them. Greg Hope talked a lot about this yesterday, about how to invest in other people's lives and to get to know them and to ask them the right questions. But might I put forward that you need to still study it. You need to be able to go to them and not be like, hey, I don't know anything about what your beliefs are. Can you just tell me all of it right now? Let's coffee break. Because people nowadays are really busy. They want to see that you've put that time in beforehand. And this is something that I've been struggling with a ton because I don't put the time in beforehand. And I've been trying to, and that's why I'm back here, to get the encouragement from the staff and the lecturers that it's so much bigger than how much time I have to waste, supposedly, for me. And like, I could be studying right now my homework, or how much time I could be sleeping. It's about going that extra mile to show others that you really and truly love them, and being willing to slow down for them. I want to end with this one last story. When you go out there, those chances are you'll be the first. There's a lot of people, a lot of gays will be like, hey, I've never actually had a Christian sit down with me and love me. We heard about this from Mike Haley on Saturday. A lot of Muslims will be like, hey, I've never actually had someone that bothered to take the time to understand what I believe. I can't believe you took that time. That's so awesome. There's so many people, so many different faiths, so many different beliefs, and most importantly, there's so many Christians. There's so many of those people that go to church every single morning and sit in the back and there's no one that sits with them. There's so many people that are left on themselves because we're too busy hanging out with our friends. So I want to challenge everyone here to be a leader. I know everyone says, oh, I'll be a leader, of course I'm a leader. But I want to talk about what that looks like for a little bit. There's that list. We all know the story of David, right? David walking up and he's, getting the food for his brothers, and they're all like, oh, dude, Phyllis, this is the Blake Living translation, I apologize if this is bad. And they're like, look at that giant. He's like challenging us, what should we do about it? I don't know, let's just sit around. And they sit around for a long, long time, and David finally stands up and he says, no one will challenge the Lord my God. So he goes up there and he takes a stand. And he takes down that giant. Now a lot of us go, oh, okay, that's the story of David, cool, he's a leader, whatever. But I want to talk about what happened afterwards. Now, First Chronicles, most people kind of, you kind of go through its genealogy of everybody and who married who and who begat who. So I want to talk here. It's First Chronicles 20, 4 through 8. And this is kind of boring when you first came across it, until you think about like the big effect of what just happened. So after this, there arose a war with the Philistines and Israel. Then Sibbecai the Hushathite struck down Sippai, who was one of the descendants of the giants, and the Philistines were subdued. And there was again war with the Philistines. And Eliam, the son of Jair, struck down Lemhi, the brother of Goliath the Gittite, the shepherd whose spear was like a weaver's beam. And there was again war at Gath, when there was a man of great stature with 6 fingers on 6 hands, 6 fingers on each hand, and 6 toes on each foot, 24 in number. And he was also descended from the giants. And when he taunted Israel, Jonathan the son of Shimei, David's brother, struck him down. Why is that a big deal, right? It's just 3 guys killing giants. And if you look at there in 2 Chronicles, that's like a couple of verses, it's a small little paragraph. What's the big deal? The big deal is David gets chapters and chapters and chapters when that happens. And why does that happen? Because David was the first one to do it. He struck down that giant, and all of a sudden he was like, hey, check it out, guys, there's a giant out there. And I'm like, well, it's kind of intimidating. Wait, David just killed that guy. You want to go kill him? I guess I'll go kill him real quick. They go out and they kill the giant. A couple days later, another giant shows up, and they take him out. Another giant shows up, they take him out. Do you realize what happens when one person takes the lead and they step out in faith and they're the first one to do it? God uses them mightily. And then after that, everyone follows along because, this guy stood up, why can't I stood up? Stand up. What happens when the church, when you start sitting with that person by himself? Does he make more than you as a friend? He makes your friends too. He makes people look up to you. When you start going out of your way to study and learn other people will go out of their way and study other people, because it's your responsibility to be a leader in the fact that you're not just getting like, oh, I'm going to be a big leader in this corporation. It's your responsibility to be a leader in the way that you love others in a way that others want to love them.